everyone, and welcome to this week's Workout Wednesday podcast. I'm so excited to be here once again this week with all of you. And please make sure to follow me on SoundCloud. Please go and follow Butoga Lifestyle on SoundCloud. And you can hear all the audios of the previous podcasts and everything that's coming forward as well. You can also follow me on Instagram at Extreme Fit Chick with a C, and also Butoga Lifestyle on Instagram, so you can see the video part of this podcast as well. And today I'm so excited to have one of my dearest friends, Micheal Kiley. Woo! So good to see you. Hey. So this man, he is one of my male besties. I like to say we have, gosh, it's been maybe over 12 years or more, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I met Micheal at DreamWorks. I created a lunchtime workout at DreamWorks, and it was a boot camp workout. And he was one of them that came, and all these amazing animators and producers there at DreamWorks. And we just connected so quickly, and his love and intensity for fitness blew my mind. This man is amazingly strong. And we just became friends ever since that. Like, we just really connected. There was a good group of us, and Micheal and I have always stayed close. We went to Krav Maga together. He's the one that got me into Krav. He even taught at my gym, Extreme Results Fitness, when I had my gym. My gosh, that's what I'm like, it's probably been over 12 years.
Easy. Yeah.
I'm blown away that I've still been at DreamWorks for that long. It blows me away that it's been that long. But regardless, this man is the man. Originally from Ireland, he's a beast when it comes to working out, and his mindset, everything. And I was like, what better guest than my dear friend, Micheal? So tell us a little bit about yourself, Micheal.
Okay, well, like you said, originally from Ireland. I've been involved in athletics and varying at varying levels since I was a child, since I was a kid. I got into martial arts when I was probably about 13, 14. So Bruce Lee's Enter the Dragon, and that was it. I was like, okay, I have to do that. Before that, I know it sounds ridiculous, but at like 11, 12, I was boxing. My father was a boxer when he was younger, and Ireland is kind of always has been this hub for boxing. So no martial arts gyms, nothing like that, but lots of boxing gyms. So I had a lot of energy, a lot of aggression that I needed to put someplace. So started boxing. So I did boxing, like I said, at a very young age for a couple of years, and then got into martial arts. So I've been doing martial arts all my life, like varying martial arts. Spent 15 years doing Shotokan karate. Then when, traveled, and each place that I traveled to, I would, one of the first things I did within the first few days of being there was try to find a martial arts gym of some type, some kind. So, Kung Fu, Taekwondo, Hapkido, Judo, some Jiu-Jitsu, and other forms of karate as well, and Muay Thai a little bit as well. So I was in New York for a while. I found a place there. When I went to New Zealand to work for a while, I found some guys. They were actually stuntmen on the movie that I was working on. A couple of Irish guys. They were like, "Yeah, come with us." So went to their dojo, and then living in LA, there's so many different martial arts places to go to, and found a place in Burbank, and was there for, again, nearly another 15 years, doing Hapkido, Judo, a very big mixture of varying martial arts. Like Taekwondo was very much part of it as well. Competed for about 9 years in martial arts competitions, Taekwondo competitions. Go back a long time to 96, 97, I won the California State Championships in Taekwondo. So that was very, very cool. But it kind of got to the point where I felt like I wanted to do something else with martial arts, something a little bit more direct and more effective and you know, effective as far as like self-defense and street, not that I was going to start street fights or anything like that, but actually being able to defend myself. And really where that came from is that my now wife lived in West Hollywood when we first were dating. And one of the guys that I used to see regularly walking his dog, outside, really nice guy, very healthy, very fit looking as well, but he was jumped one night. He was beaten up and within inches of his life, put in hospital, and took a long time to recover. So I started to question, like, I knew that I could always defend myself, no problem with that, because, again, growing up in Ireland and just through traveling, there's been some, let's say, just some situations that have arisen where I've had to defend myself. But something that actually did keep me awake at night was, could I defend other people who were with me? Could I effectively do that while defending myself and keeping them safe? So I started to look for, another martial art that would actually fill that or satisfy that. And I found Krav Maga. So that's how I got into that. So I've been doing Krav Maga I was doing it before we met, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So it's well over 13, 14 years again, I guess. Yeah, so through Krav Maga, and I played rugby and I played different kind of contact sports when I was a kid. So I've always loved the contact aspect of athletics or of exercise and working out. So that's why martial arts appeals to me so much, and why rugby appealed to me. It was just that impact thing that I call it crazy or whatever, but it's like I've spoken to other people who do the same type of thing that I do, and it's a necessary thing. It's kind of like I'm a hugger as well, like I like the contact.
No contact right now, right?
No contact, right? But yeah, that which is
difficult. Yeah,
it's difficult. So yeah, and then through Krav Maga, they also had their fitness aspect. They would just do like full body workouts and everything. And my body type is such that it wants to be bigger than I want it to be. It either wants to be fatter or it wants to be more muscular than I want it to be. Fatter is much easier. I've found. Yeah. So the thing is, regardless of how much I worked out over the years, and I worked out a lot. I was just like 6 times a week, sometimes 2 classes a day, and then I would hike at the weekend. I would, train for competitions, all that kind of stuff. And there were times where I would lose a lot of weight when I was training for a competition. But as soon as I went back to eating somewhat normally again, all that would just come back very, very quickly.
I know that very well too. I know that very well. Yes.
It's like you're thinking to yourself, it took 3 months to get to this point, and it took me a week to get, it's really crazy. And as well, I'm getting older, like I'm 56 now. So I can feel the effort. I have to change my approach and my attitude towards fitness and towards eating and all that kind of stuff. But it was when I met you actually at DreamWorks, and you did that plan. We talked about it. We talked about what I ate, and I wrote down for, I think it was like a week or something, what I was eating, and you came back to me and was like, "You're not eating enough. Like, for the size you are and for the amount of exercise you do, you're just not eating enough. You need to eat more." And I was like, but, and because I'd never really looked into nutrition and how it worked before, I was just like, obviously, if you don't eat as much, you must lose weight. But that's obviously not the case. It can be the case in extreme situations, like a prisoner of war held in a camp someplace isn't fed, and of course they're going to lose weight, but they're also going to lose muscle and they're going to get sick and all that kind of stuff. So when I started to actually do what you told me to do, which was eat more and write down what I was eating, keep track of what I was eating, I noticed within 2 weeks that I started to, it was like my body was suddenly went, what? Okay, now finally you're doing what you should be doing. I didn't change the, actually it was funny because at that time, I wasn't able to work out as much as I normally was because, as I normally would be, because I was working on a film. And as you know, the schedules get crazy, you know, so I was managing to get to a few classes a week at Krav, do a few extra workouts here and there, but the one thing that was consistent was I was able to get to your classes at lunchtime. And then also I had changed up the way I was eating, and I started to see results like very, very quickly. So yeah, which kind of brings me to where I am now.
Yes, look at you now. I mean,
Yeah.
it was so great. I remember how awesome it was to see you all transform too in front of my eyes, because you guys sit a lot. You're constantly working on these movies. So
Yeah.
you're sitting, and just to have that break during the day to have movement, and then you have this amazing commissary that has all this food. It's like, how do you pick what's healthy for you versus, you know,
Yeah.
the sugar stuff that they have there as well. So it's really learning to balance that. So when you guys started doing that, especially you, I really saw the transformation
Yeah.
in that.
Yeah.
And that was great, because your intensity when you work out, I don't think I've ever seen anyone with so much intensity when they work out like you. Like, you still hold the top of the list. And even when you're like, hey, let's go work out, I'm like, oh shoot, I know I gotta bring it. And working out with Michael, oh good Lord. where's my pre-workout? I gotta bring
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. It's so
You
funny
know?
when I'm teaching the classes at lunchtime at Krav. I teach, like, as you know, you've come to my bag classes and stuff like that. I have the constant people, and they're like a good group of people, but they're just looking at me, shaking their head all the time because they, and it's fun, you know. I mean,
Yeah, like you never tire. And so this is a great question for you. You have that mindset from way back from boxing and martial arts. Like, and even when I'd watch you teach at my gym and we work out together, I was like, wow, like he doesn't tire. Or even if he's tired, you still give 110% till the very end of class. So do you feel that that's more mindset on your part? Have you learned to know your body, how to push it? Like, what is the trick for you?
um, I think really for me it goes back to martial arts again. I think it's partly I'm just naturally stubborn. I'm like, you know, Tracy would say it. I'm just totally pig-headed. I just won't give in. You know, I you know, for example, I broke my leg playing hockey years ago. I have a plate and pins in my leg, and I finally they took the cast off and they put this walking cast on, and I went hiking, and I broke one of the pins in there, so I had to go back and get it removed and put another one in. And the doctor was like, "Please, can you just?" But it's just I find it, and there's so many other people that I know who are like this as well. I just find it so hard to, um, I guess, acknowledge and accept the fact that I should just sit down for a little while at certain times. But as far as like when I'm actually working out, I think it really does come from, like I said, I started doing martial arts when I was 13 or 14, and I'd been boxing before that. Boxing was more of a, you know, it was intense, but the training was different. Boxing training is you know, very intense as well. But I often say that I was raised by martial arts. You know, like
Yeah.
I learned how to be. I learned how to approach things. I learned how to interact with people. Um, Very much through martial arts.
That's
You
such
know.
a different mindset. What is that
Yeah.
mindset?
Yeah. Yeah. It's it's not that things don't hurt. It's it's very much like they hurt. Acknowledge that they hurt, but unless it's an injury, you shouldn't stop. If it's an injury, then of course you're going to do damage to yourself, and you know you shouldn't continue if you're injured. But if you're just hurting, if something is just hurting you, it's just discomfort. You can use your mind to get past that. as well, it's kind of like I said, to go back to, I actually miss the contact part of Krav and of sparring and of fighting. And like I said, it sounds a little crazy, but I enjoy getting hit. Like, I don't enjoy getting hurt or injured, but I do enjoy feeling, I guess it's the feeling of what my body can withstand.
Right.
It's that kind of thing. It's pushing it. Like, I love watching these shows where, like, we just finished watching the Eco Challenge in Fiji, and some of that stuff just nearly makes me cry. I see people pushing themselves like beyond what you would think this person can do. And some of these people they're 68, they're 69, they're like older people, There's
Isn't that
younger people
amazing?
as well.
So amazing to see that.
It's just crazy. And I'm thinking, yeah. But they it's that mindset of like, I know it's hurting, but I'm not injured, And once I get through this, I have another 5 miles to go, or I have another 2 miles to go, or I have another 100 yards to go. But once I get to the end of that, the hurting will stop and the satisfaction kicks in.
That even reminds me, and that's fantastic that you said that, because I love it. It reminds me when I got my new bags at my gym, the kickboxing bags, and they were hard. They were so hard because, they get softer as you kick them and punch them. And I always remember you kicking them, and it was with no shoes, no nothing. And it was just right there, and you were getting red, and you're like, it's okay. Keep going, keep going. I was like, and I was like, it hurts. So I even remember that. And I still tell people that, how even like, what do you guys call it? Seasoning your shins for like kickboxing and all of that. So my love for kickboxing is huge in boxing too. There's no other feeling like it. But like, even knowing you, it took me to a different level of understanding it. And, the seasoning of seasoning your shins. I was like, wow, that's amazing. Just so many things. So even as you're saying that type of pain, like you just keep going through it.
Yeah. And it sounds very kind of like, I don't know how you'd even describe what it is, but it just sounds like over the top or whatever to say. You have to kind of make friends with the fact that it's going to hurt, because if you don't, you won't do it, and like one of the exercises we do before we actually spar sometimes is, I'll stand here, you're standing there, and you kick me, full kick, and I take it. I'll kick you, you take it. And it's just, you just get conditioned. It's like, I've listened to MMA fighters talk about it, and one in particular, this guy Randy Couture. He's now retired, but he was there for a long time, and he was able to keep going well into his 40s. And he talked about building armor. Like, what you're doing through all of this is you're actually building armor. Your body, even though it's still muscle and skin and everything, it's not going to ever become armor. I mean, you're not Superman. You can't stop a bullet or something like that, but you can accept it easier. And it's not that it doesn't hurt, but it does, but it doesn't register the like, oh shit, I need to stop. It doesn't register. It's like, okay, again. Right. Like, do it again and kick me harder this time because I want to see if I can stand this. And it is that mindset kind of thing. So I guess partly me being naturally stubborn, but also having spent so many years with that, and the place that I started martial arts the Shotokan karate place, was very traditional, very what they call a hard style. So you like, somebody went to kick you, you blocked with your forearm. So you had to build up, like a lot of resistance in that. So it really is just kind of conditioning, but also conditioning your mind to not give up as soon as something hurts.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
I love that. And you had talked earlier a little bit about too how you're maturing, you're noticing the body is changing. And aging for all of us is a big thing. I'm noticing my body is definitely changing. It's not responding as quickly as it used to before, or different things. And it's learning to embrace ourselves at all stages. And it's difficult. It can be very challenging because we're used to a certain way of being and a certain way of how we were to what we are now. So how has it been for you embracing how your body is changing? And are you still keeping the same intensity in your workouts? Have you switched it up? Like, how has that been for
I
you?
Yeah, I I have certain injuries that I've picked up over the years from like my back and my shoulders and my knees and all this kind of stuff. So that has come back to visit again. As I've gotten older, like my lower back is not good at all. But I take care of it. I get massage, I get acupuncture. And that's one of the things that I've always done that. Gone to a chiropractor, get myself adjusted, and then release again into the wild, and off you do and do your thing. But what I've realized as I've gotten older is that I have to do more of that type of thing. I have to really be aware of it's hurting. Okay, like taking into consideration what I said earlier on, it's hurting, but it's hurting while you're doing it is one thing. Continuing to hurt afterwards is not a good thing. That's beginning to be an injury. So then knowing the difference as well, it's just like muscle pain. I got hit. Oh, it's a bruise, as opposed to that's still not good. And there's something crackling going on in here, and it's just yeah. So it's knowing the difference as well. But
I
that's
love
something
that
that
you
I've really
said
been
that. I
trying.
love it. Yes, because people need to know the
What's that?
difference. So I love that you said that, is learning to know the difference.
Yeah, yeah. Because hurting is one thing. Injuries are a completely different thing. And having both the hurt, and trying to learn about your body enough to know I should not still be hurting. Now I'm leaning in towards this could be an injury. You know, and it also depends on everybody have different pain thresholds. Some people hurt way sooner, some people were hurt later, and some people don't seem to ever feel a thing for some reason. I don't know. But so it's knowing that and getting to just learning to push a little bit beyond what your pain threshold is. And that's your resistance, and that's your kind of training yourself to be a little bit more resilient and a little bit stronger. Whereas somebody else might, that what you're feeling may be very little to them, and they may have to go beyond that as well. So it's different for everybody. But so that's something I've been doing. I've been trying to take care of myself a lot more. It's hard with all of the COVID stuff. You can't go to a chiropractor, you can't get acupuncture, you can't get massage. So I stretch, and I got one of those guns that I use on myself.
Yeah.
I've little electrodes that I attach to my shoulders that are kind of making me jump, and anything that I can do. Stretching is very, very important. It always has been anyway. It's a major part of doing martial arts. So keeping that flexibility as I get older is very important as well.
Great.
And since we've been in quarantine, trying to do that as well, even more so because I'm not going to classes, I'm not teaching classes. So I had to set a kind of a schedule for myself, because the other schedule is pretty much gone, So that was a kind of a tough thing as well, but yeah.
So you already have that strong mindset, but what would you give as a tip to people that are now home? What tip would you give them to stay motivated, consistent in their health and wellness being at home?
I would say, and I think you've often said this as well, and I've read it different places, and I've heard other people say it, is just I believe not every type of workout is good for every person. So a very important thing, and I'm very lucky that I found it early on in my life, but a very important thing is to try and find something that actually gives you joy when you do it. And the side benefit of it is exercise. And I mean, I'm guilty as well. There's times where I'm like, oh my God, I told myself I'd work out, and I had set 5 o'clock, and I'm just dragging my ass out the door. But it's once I start doing it, then great, But it really is to try and find something that it could be dance, it could be yoga, it could be martial arts, it could be lifting weights, it could be jumping up and down, it could be jumping rope, it could be climbing,
there's so many different things. It could be going for a walk early in the morning when the birds are singing. It could be anything. If you can find some kind of joy in it. And like I said, then the side benefit is that you're actually out in the air, you're walking, you're getting exercise, you're getting flexible, you're punching, you're getting your frustrations out because you're hitting something. That's what I would recommend. It's very important because you don't want to be, it's like going to a job that you hate. It's the last place you want to be, and you'll do anything you can to avoid going there. So it's the same with exercise. You'll do anything you can to avoid exercising if it's something that you really don't enjoy.
Excellent tip.
That's my take on it. Yeah.
It's a very good take. Absolutely. We'll stick with it when we enjoy it. We let it go by the wayside if we don't enjoy it. So absolutely.
Definitely.
So now I'm going to ask you some questions.
You may not hit on. Okay, go ahead.
No. Oh, you ready for my questions? Okay.
Yeah.
So 2020 has been very different for all of us. And, we had our vision for 2020 at the beginning of the year. It may have shifted, but yet I still believe we have some type of vision still, and we need to hold on to that for 2020. And we're all learning so many life lessons this year for sure. So I'm going to ask you a few questions, and it's a fill in the blank for you. Okay. So the first one, I'm living my best life when? You get to fill in the blank. When are you living your best life?
Wife. Yeah. When I'm with Tracy.
Oh, when you're with your wife.
Can you hear me?
Beautiful. Now I can hear you. Yeah. When you're with your wife.
I know it sounds soppy, but that's the very first thing that comes into my head. It's just like we have such a good relationship and get on so well that's when I'm happiest.
Oh, I love that. Good answer. Your next one. One of my biggest aha moments was?
I just talked about it a while ago when you told me to eat more to lose weight. That was like, what the?
Right.
Yeah. Like when I saw the results, I remember like seeing myself or feeling something, or it might have been like putting on clothes. It was something that was like, hold on a second. What the, and then, that was a really big, aha. Okay. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
And your next one. What I know for sure is?
Wow. What I know for sure is that I know it's a cliche, but all this will pass. I mean, every single person in the world is going through some kind of crap at the moment. In America, we seem to be going through our more than fair share of crap at the moment. But it'll pass. It always does. I mean, it's a cycle. It's kind of like that saying, all of this has happened before and all of this will happen again. It's just the way things are, Beautiful. So I would just say kind of hang in and ride it out and you'll come out the other end. Things will improve. Yeah.
Love it. And one of your last questions. What has been your biggest takeaway from 2020 so far?
The biggest takeaway is that I don't really need that much to be happy. Like we think, oh, it would be great. I need to go on vacation and I need like this and I need that. And it's like, no. Because we've been pretty much on lockdown for the last 7 months or 8 months or whatever it is. I just realized that, I don't want to speak for other people, but I find that I need very, very little to be happy from day to day. Yeah.
Beautiful. Excellent. So fantastic. And Thank you. Those were amazing gold nuggets. And I love that we got into the martial art mindset with you and a lot of great takeaways. And didn't you do Kung Fu Panda? Didn't you do
Yeah,
the fighting scene?
yeah.
Was it?
There's a lot of sequences in that there was a few other guys in the studio that I had trained with in the past. And Christoph was one, and then there was Rudolph as another. And we had actually gone to the same martial arts school in Burbank. So, and they were on the movie. So we kind of got together and we're like, okay, let's organize classes for the animators and actually teach them how to do these kicks properly, how to do not go into great detail with it, but actually just teach them to take the proper technique so that when they're animating something that they're feeling. There's a difference between just looking at something and copying it, but not understanding what the mechanics of that movement are, as opposed to actually having done the movement yourself and feeling the mechanics in your body. You're kind of like, oh, that's where my weight should be. And then applying that to the character that you're animating. So, okay, so that feels good. This feels good. I need to, we'll say for a kick, for example, I need to, anticipate, I need to lift my kick. I need to bend the knee properly. I need to, kick straight out, push the hip in, all that kind of stuff. Whereas if you hadn't actually done that and you were just looking at some video on YouTube of somebody kicking, you may not pick up on that. So feeling it was very important. So that was a lot of fun. It was all these guys who sit at the desk 16 hours a day, who are not, some of them are, but a lot of them are not athletic and are not martial artists and all that kind of stuff. And it was a lot of fun to do that.
Oh, that's awesome. Every time I see that part of the movie, I'm like, hey, Michael, Christoph. Like I remember you guys doing that sequence for it. So that's fantastic.
And the real satisfying thing about that was that when the movie came out a few months later, this magazine called Inside Martial Arts wanted to interview some of the people involved with the movie because they considered it to be an actual martial arts movie as opposed to an animated movie that just had some bear jumping around, because they recognized that there was actual techniques being used in it that they could see. It's like, oh, okay, oh yeah, wow, okay. We want to talk to these people and find out like what their approach was. So that was like a big, more than anything else, the few of us that have been involved in martial arts all our lives were just like, yes, success, we did it. Yeah.
That's a huge achievement.
Oh yeah, we were just like, who cares what people say about the animated movie itself? It was just like, Inside Martial Arts wanted to talk to.
That's so awesome. Oh, well, thank you so much. This has been so great and so much great information. And I'm sure everybody who will be listening is going to enjoy this, especially those that are big into martial arts. And what a time now too. I even think to learn self-defense. And I even know you did quite a few classes at my gym back then for us to learn self-defense. And so, I would say, follow Michael, check him out on even Instagram. You'll see him punching and doing his workouts. His kicks are unreal. But yeah, so follow him, get some inspiration.
I would say just anybody, especially women. Sadly, I know, it's a pity that I even have to say that, but I would say, especially girls and women should find some way of learning self-defense.
I agree 100%. Absolutely.
And it doesn't have to be all physical. I mean, there's ways of de-escalating situations. There's ways of kind of getting yourself out of situations. There's also ways of recognizing a situation before it ever comes about, like just ways of thinking about how you go about. And again, it's really sad that we have to kind of even think this way, that you have to be kind of tactical about the way you move about the world. But sadly, that's the nature of it, of the way it is at the moment, until hopefully it improves in the future sometime. But to try and think about your movement, especially when you're by yourself, like leaving work at night, going out with your friends or whatever, but you might be by yourself going to your car. Trying to think in a very tactical way is like, is this the best time for me to go to my car? Would it benefit me to wait another 10 minutes? You're 10 minutes later going home, but you're also getting home. Whereas you go, oh, I'm too impatient. I want to get in my car now.
You may not get to your car. You may not get home simply because of those 10 minutes. So it's something to think about, you know, really kind of look into it and also don't be afraid. Like I would just say to people, men included, who have never done boxing or martial arts, don't be afraid to go into a martial arts studio or a self-defense class. They're not there to hurt you. They're there to help you not be hurt.
Absolutely.
That's the whole point of it. So yeah. Anyway, okay, I'll stop. I'll get off my soapbox, as Tracy would say.
We may have to do something virtual soon with that. So I'll talk to you later about it, but I think that'd be fantastic. Yeah. But thank you so much for all of this. And I will put his Instagram in the comments and let you all know where to find Micheal. But he is fantastic. One of my dearest friends. He's been there for me quite a bit. And so thank you so much. Love you and Tracy to pieces. And thank you for joining Workout Wednesday. Have a good week, everyone.
It's a pleasure.